I have another example here. And there's some important elements here that I want to talk about. Mainly the two main things, the ideograph and timing. The ideograph is designed to stimulate proprioception to bring about my dimensional sensation. Again, this is absolutely key to this page. If this doesn't happen, then this session is to be stopped. To stop a session, again, I'm going to have to repeat myself because these are not easy concepts to understand. These are experiential concepts. To be able to recognize when this is not happening is very, very specific. I don't really want to call it subtle, because when it's understood and when it's developed, it's not that subtle once you begin to experience it and understand it. This is vital for this. This is a different type of process than when I'm standing at the whiteboard and I'll use different elements and incorporate this only if the other elements aren't happening. But in this process here, this is absolutely 100% key. This must take place. Proprioception must produce a dimensional sensation. The other thing is timing. Timing. I've done a lot of experiments that I call time sensations, where I became very curious and interested in how I would experience the range of time and space before someone else selected a target for me. So how I did it with I worked this with Dustin, and unbeknownst to Dustin, by the way. So what I would do is set up an experiment where I'm going to do a remote viewing session on a quote-unquote target that Dustin would select for me in the future. So it hadn't been selected yet, and he hadn't even been requested yet. And that was the main key, was that he was not involved at all when I did this session. I wanted to experience that range of time and space before he got involved in the process. And once he got involved, I would do this session, then send him a text message and say, hey man, could you pick out a quote-unquote target for me? And it has to be something new. It can't be one that you have a database and say, okay, here, I'll give him this one. It has to be brand new, because I want his perception of involvement in that process to be novel, not pre-planned. I don't want to, nothing could be pre-planned. That's what I called time sensations. The experience of time in a remote viewing session is another thing that I'm very, very interested in, meaning that if I do a session at 9 o'clock in the morning, or I do a session at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they're going to be two completely different experiences, completely different sessions, because of when they took place in time and space. Where was I at? What was I accessible to? How did I perceive? How did I describe this range of time and space at this particular time, or at this particular time? They're going to be completely different. That is something I'm very, very interested in. And this falls under the category, for me, of the intuition element. Meaning that if I get a strong, I got to go remote view right now. I got to do it. I got to do this right now. Which happens to me. I go and I do it now because that's the time. It's here. It's here. I got to go and do it now. If I don't do that, and I do it later, the results are completely different. They're much better when I got to go and do this right now. Falls under the category of timing. It's something I find it fascinating, and it's where you are in time and space for accessibility. Does it have anything to do with sidereal time? I don't know. I've tried working with sidereal time. I didn't have any kind of, I did not notice any effect that was different for me. What I do notice is that when I get this sensation, I have to go now, that is when I get the better results. Fascinating topic. I'm always working on it. I'm always open to it, working on it, experimenting on it. So this is one here. Again, we're going to look at the dimensional sensation, the proprioceptions, and here. This is the range of time and space here, Golden Gate Bridge. Something's coming there. That has about a 40% feel to it. That, let me check the density here. It's about a 40%er. Not enough to write anything down. Yeah, a little bit more. That one had something. Producing a bit of dimensional sensation. I'm getting curious and interested now in that, oh, it appears an actual remote viewing is taking place. What that is, I'm not sure. Got a pattern complete here of a boat in a harbor, which is there. It's there. Yeah, okay. Now I'm getting interested now. I'm going from about 45 to 47%. Okay, here we go. Now it's the dimensional sensation is achieved here. It's achieved. Feels good. It's a cool feeling. I'm checking dimensionality here, densities, for anything that I can dimensionally perceive. I'm going to hang out with it. I'm going to hang out with it for as long as I want to. It's my session. There's like a rippling thing here. There's a rippling across. That's the dimensionality. Yeah, that one didn't have it. That one didn't have what didn't have the strength. Pattern complete. Oh, the waterfall. Okay, real quick. For some further explanation of the ideograph of what this is, in CRV terms, the Ingo Swann terms, in the ideogram, the idea behind this is that the autonomic nervous system here will produce a gestalt, an overall depiction of the site. And I agree with that. I agree that that's possible. And in the old days, they would try to entrain themselves to produce an ideogram that would give them an indicator of the main gestalt of the site. I kind of agree with that too. In these, because I've done so many of these and trained myself for so long, I want my autonomic nervous system and my proprioceptive receptors here to produce a main element sensation and a pictograph as well, a graphic of it as well. That allows for the production of a dimensional sensation. First I get the proprioceptors working, then a dimensional sensation comes next. Ideally, if an actual remote viewing is taking place. These are very, very specific, and it's not just a scribble, which is unfortunately kind of how it's taught a lot in kind of traditional, styles of remote viewing. Yeah, it's a squiggle. You just produce a little squiggly line, a scribble thing, and then you move on. This is the most elusive and difficult thing to comprehend, in my opinion, in regards to the remote viewing process of what actually this is. What is the goal of this? That's a very difficult thing to teach. It's a very difficult thing to achieve because it's very outside of the norm. So, which makes it difficult to understand, So when you see me doing these, I am in a mind space to allow for something to happen. I don't want to create. I want to allow for something to happen here. I'm allowing it to happen. I'm not creating it. And if it has the qualities of an actual remote viewing, which I've developed over decades to be able to do my best to be able to detect the quality of this, then it produces a dimensional sensation that that my confidence level starts to go up and say, okay, there's an actual remote viewing taking place here. It's difficult to, it's an experiential thing, so it's not easy to describe. Yeah, my confidence going about 55% confidence level that I'm dealing with the target that has a main water element here. I'm rippling across the surface here. It's fluttering and rippling. At this point, I'm getting kind of close to the end of this page. I'm about confident enough to go to page 2 and go into formation. An actual remote viewing is taking place here. Yeah, again, at this point with that one, I'm like, okay, I've passed the initiation. I know that this is water. I'll do one more, just a few more confirmations, but I'm confident. I'm ready to go over to the next. And I like the sensation. It's cool. I enjoy it. It's enjoyable. Ripples. Ripples across. I'm more interested in experiencing it than I am labeling it. Labeling it serves a purpose. Experiencing it is far more enjoyable. Like this. Like this. Reminds me of the atmosphere. And water. It just feels cool. I'm okay to just stick with it. There's movement there, moving across. Pattern complete. Birds. That kind of fluttering feel. Just moving across. Again, I could just do this without having to write it. I'm writing everything down just so that I can document it and make a video. Otherwise, I just hang out with it. Something across, and then there's the water there. What's pattern complete? Clouds. There's a horizon up there. Something across. There's water underneath it. And it feels cool. I think that's it. That's it. So there it is. That's it, right there. That's what I want to experience. I want to experience this. I want to experience this, whatever this thing is across, this rippling thing underneath it. I want to experience it. Remote viewing is an experience. I had to find that out after many, many years, because when I was initially taught with an old system that was a derivative of Ingo's CRV, the guy who taught that, who was a former military guy, I won't mention his name, but he would reiterate that remote viewing is not an experience. And I looked up to the dude, so I allowed that to be true to me until I realized it was absolutely not true. It was only true for him. It wasn't true for me. Remote viewing is an experience. I want to experience the rippling and the fluttering of this water. Whatever this thing that goes across it, the horizon up here. I want to experience it. Not just to get data about, mystery targets and all that kind of stuff. That's cool too. But the remote viewing is an experience. What's important about it is that we can do it. We can do it. And we can do a lot more than just experience the dimensional sensations in this range of time and space. But we can do it, just for the sake of doing it. All right, that's it for this one. Many, many more to come.